Welcome back everybody to the channel. It's me, Alejandro Mendoza, or the Nerd Chicano. Either way how you say it, it's all good here. And we're back for another video as we commence our journey through this new set that we're going to be discussing for the following 6 weeks here on the channel. Of course, last time we looked at a set, we looked at Arrow Video's Lies in Deceit, 5 films from Claude Chabrol, and this week we're going to start our journey through Criterion Collection's release of Martin Scorsese's World Cinema Project Volume 3. Of course, this consists of 6 films, so we will be talking about a film per week, and today we're going to start off with Lucia from Cuba. Of course, if you enjoyed content like this about physical media, movies in general, then go ahead and leave a like on this video. It would help me out a lot. Subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so you don't miss a single piece of content that drops on this channel. And of course, if you want to go ahead and lend an extra helping hand, then I do have a Patreon where you can get early access to videos just like this one, along with some pretty cool exclusives like video essays and other fun stuff I offer. My Patreon is patreon.com/thenerdchicano. Go over there if you would like, and it's not mandatory, but I do appreciate it. Either way, I'm happy if you watch this video. So let's go ahead and get into today's review of Lucia from director Humberto Solas. So this is the World Cinema Project Volume 3. We have four volumes of this in the collection currently, and it is from Martin Scorsese's World Cinema Project from the Film Foundation. And this is the first time I'm ever going to see any of these films. I bought this during the November Criterion sale, and I'm really excited to get through it because I've never seen films from some of these countries like Indonesia, Cuba, and Mauritania. I've never seen films from these countries, so I'm really excited to get through this. Plus, you all know I do love international films. So I'm going to go ahead and read the introduction in the back of this set, and then we're going to go look at the packaging, read the introduction for the film, and then we're going to go ahead and actually get into the review and to talk about the transfer. Established by Martin Scorsese in 2007, the Film Foundation's World Cinema Project has maintained a fierce commitment to preserving and presenting masterpieces from around the globe, with a growing roster of more than 36 restorations that have introduced movie lovers to often overlooked areas of cinema history, presenting passionate stories of revolution of cinema history, presenting passionate stories of revolution, identity, agency, forgiveness, and exclusion. This collector's set gathers 6 of these important works from Brazil, Cuba, Indonesia, Iran, Mauritania, and Mexico. Each title is a path-breaking contribution to the art form and a window onto a filmmaking tradition that international audiences previously had limited opportunities to experience. So we have dual format Blu-ray and DVD special edition features, new restored 4K digital transfers of all 6 films overseen by the World Cinema Project in collaboration with the Cineteca di Bologna, with compressed monaural soundtracks on the Blu-rays, new introductions to the films by World Cinema Project founder Martin Scorsese, new interviews featuring Downpour director Bahram Beazi, film scholar Charles Ramirez Berg on Dos Monjes, and journalist J.B. Cristano on After the Curfew. Excerpts from a 2016 interview with Pijote director Hector Babenco and a 2018 interview with Soleil director Med Ondo, Humberto and Lucia, a 2020 documentary short by Carlos Barbasalva, featuring Lucia director Humberto Solas and members of his cast and crew. Prologue for the US release of Pijote, created by Babenco. New English subtitle translations, plus a booklet featuring introduction by Cecilia Cenicarielli, head of research and international projects for the Cineteca di Bologna, and essays by critics and scholars Dennis Lim, Adrian Jonathan Pasaribu, Stephanie Dennison, Eliza Lozano, Abukar Sanogo, and Hamid Nafisi. That is the special features included in every single one of these. Now, a little bit of technical difficulties there, but let's go ahead and look at the packaging. I already kind of showed this on the haul video, so I'm just going to go pretty quickly through it. So you have the films here, you have Lucia and After the Curfew right here, and you have two Blu-ray discs, two DVD discs and a Blu-ray disc right there. Then you get the next two films, Pijote and Dos Monjes, and then you have the two DVD discs and the Blu-ray disc right there. And then you have the final two films, Soleil and Downpour. And of course you have the two DVD discs and the Blu-ray disc right there. So those are the films. And then inside you have this really nice what's it called, then inside you have this nice polka dot interior. This is the front of the box, this is the back of the box, this is the individual spine right there, and then of course the films are labeled with their separate spine numbers. You also have this nice booklet here, which I already kind of showed too. So you just have info about the films, you have writings, you have an introduction, you have like stills and art, and you have production notes, special thanks, acknowledgements, and yeah, just pretty cool stuff right here that you have available. So that's it for the packaging. That's all that's included here. I really do like the look and the colors that they choose for these World Cinema projects, so I like the packaging a lot. So let's go ahead and get into our film now. So let me go ahead and read the individual introduction for Lucia. I'll tell you what's in the special features, and then we can go ahead and get into this review. Lucia, a formerly dazzling landmark of Cuban cinema by Humberto Solas, the operatic epic Lucia recounts the history of a changing country through the eyes of three eponymous women. In 1895, Lucia is a tragic noblewoman who inadvertently betrays her country for love. In 1932, she is a member of the bourgeoisie drawn into the workers' uprising against the dictator, and in the post-revolutionary 1960s, she is a rural newlywed struggling against patriarchal oppression. Shot in an array of distinct, evocative visual styles, Solas's sprawling triptych is a vital document of radical progress. In the disc, you get a new restored 4K digital transfer overseen by the World Cinema Project in collaboration with the Cineteca di Bologna, with uncompressed mono soundtracks on the Blu-ray. New introduction to the film by World Cinema Project founder Martin Scorsese, and Humberto and Lucia, a 2020 documentary shot by Carlos Barba Salva featuring Lucia director Humberto Solas, actors Adela Alegra and Eslinda Nunez, editor and screenwriter Nelson Rodriguez, and filmmaker Enrique Pineda Barnett, plus a new English subtitle translation. So this film comes in at spine number 1045 in the Criterion collection, and I've got to say, I was pleasantly surprised by Lucia. I didn't expect my introduction to Cuban cinema to be this great and to be this surprising to me, as I've never seen a film from Cuba. I know a lot about the country of Cuba. I've studied a lot about the revolution. I studied a lot about the Bautista regime, and I know about these things, but I never watched a film from this country. So this is kind of what's special about the Martin Scorsese World Cinema Project, is that it introduces you to these countries' cinema that you usually wouldn't find, because they're kind of hard to find on streaming services. Of course, I have always been recommended Soy Cuba, but I never got the chance to watch it. Plus, I was kind of hoping for a physical release of that, and that's yet to happen. But I've got to say, with Lucia, I was pleasantly engrossed into this story. I found myself really enthralled in the journey of three different women who symbolize so much for not just the Cuban culture, but the country of Cuba itself. Like, the first story isn't the most interesting. I really found myself kind of lost within the pacing of the first story, but the second and third really are the strongest parts of this film. And I would go as far to say that I think the third story is probably the best one within this film. these stories really follow the theme of revolution to its core. I mean, revolution truly is the big source of inspiration of this film, and what all of these women kind of symbolize, not just to the culture in their country, but to the struggle of her people and what it means to fight for the rights that you aren't given. I think all three women did an incredible job at portraying their characters, and they all find a way to relate with each other in a way, and I was really drawn to that. Like, even though Humberto Solas is juggling three different stories, he finds a way to intertwine them together and really build upon a narrative of revolution, of love, of culture, of family. And that's just one of the many things that fascinated me about Lucia. The score was incredible, the cinematography was beautiful as well. Even though the film stock is a little bit rough around the edges, it still found a way to have a stylistic approach that I could get behind of. I've got to say though, the first two stories, they are kind of shot in a very European style, which kind of did throw me back a bit. But once you get to that third story, I think I finally start to realize, like, oh, what everybody's described to me as Cuban cinema, this is what it is. And I was really drawn to that final story and see the film kind of come into its own. And if you understand the history of Cuba, you would understand why that's kind of like the journey within this film in a way as well. So I was just really drawn to this movie. I fell in love with it. And for my introduction to Cuban cinema, I've got to say that I couldn't choose a better one. I want to watch more films from Humberto Solas now, and I do want to start getting more into Cuban cinema. Now let's talk about this transfer. So this is a 4K digital transfer presented on a Blu-ray disc. I watched it on my Panasonic 4K player on my TCL 4K TV, and because it's a Blu-ray disc on a 4K player, I am going to benefit a bit from some upscaling. So it's not going to be exactly 1080p, it's going to be a little bit like around 2K, not native 4K, but it is going to be a pretty good resolution. And like I said before, the film stock is a little bit rough around the edges. And I kind of read a lot about the stuff that went into, cleaning this up. I mean, they had to use superlatives and they had to use different positives to go ahead and fix the footage that was kind of lost. And I've got to say, even though it is a little rough, there are moments where I think that the film could have used a little more touch-up. This movie does look really good. The black and white colors registration are really good too. I love the white and black levels. The contrast is pretty sharp and pretty detailed. The second story is where I really do find most of the problems within the film stock, but because you are working with a pretty old film that hasn't been preserved as well, probably has gone through a lot of vinegar syndrome, its chances are of looking super clean are pretty slim to none. But what the World Cinema Project is able to do, especially the Film Foundation, is bring this film back to life and really preserve it for years to come, for maybe down the line getting a better restoration of that. And I've got to say that the video component looks really good. I was really impressed by the work done on it. It doesn't look too, doesn't look like too much scratches. It doesn't look like it's, popping. Everything looks good. I was really impressed with this 4K digital transfer. Now, the audio track is a mononeural soundtrack, so it's not going to be anything special like a DTS-X or a DTS HD or a Dolby Atmos. But for the time being, and what I was able to experience with the audio track, I was really drawn to it. There's no scratching, no hissing, no humming, nothing that I would say really defeats the audio track and makes it sound horrible. It sounds great. I was able to hear everything clearly. Everything is crisp, nothing is higher than the other, the score plays out well, the dialogue is pretty much leveled, everything sounds great, it matches a really good video component, and that's the thing I try to emphasize a lot on the channel, is that if we put a lot of care into the video restoration, we need to put a lot of care into the audio restoration. And I'm glad that Lucia did that, and it was able to present to you not just a good video restoration, but a good audio restoration as well. And I've got to say, we're starting off this set pretty strong. I really like this movie, and I can't wait to go through more of these films, especially next week as we talk about After the Curfew. To keep up to date with me on all things social media, make sure you follow me at The Nerdy Chicano on both Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Letterboxd, Serialized, and TikTok. Keep up to date. Let's talk movies. Follow me on there. I'm usually going to follow back unless you're a bot. Keep up to date with the Nerdcore by following us at the Nerdcore on YouTube and Twitch. TheNerdcore.com is our website where you can find interviews and podcasts and all those wonderful things. Check that out, y'all. We're working really hard to really grow the brand this year. And next week, we're going to continue on with the next film in our set here as we look at After the Curfew from Indonesia. But in the meantime, to my wonderful cinephiles and renowned scholars, celebrate the love of cinema today, tomorrow, and every day after. Catch you all on the next one, guys. Bye-bye.